Hello, this is Dr. Joe Holcomb. I'm a naturopathic physician, and I've been waiting for, um, I guess, myself to step up because I keep looking for someone to talk about the science of COVID-19 and in an understandable way to the general public so as to dispel the fear around it. And I just haven't been seeing it. So I am going to do it myself. So what makes COVID-19 so scary? It is a virus. We've been exposed to many viruses in our lives. So what makes this one so different? Well, first of all, it's the media with its lack of facts and understanding really makes it scary. The fear decreases your body's immune system functionality due to increased stress hormones. And the biggest thing that makes this scary is the thing that causes death, which is the respiratory distress and all the talks of shortages of ventilators. Now it looks like we've got an overabundance of ventilators because this hasn't been as bad as everybody thought, but yet there is still so much fear surrounding this. So I wanted to break down what is causing the respiratory distress. How is this virus doing that? So this is a big fancy word, pathophysiology, meaning how a virus is able to do something or how any disease process actually happens. So the pathophysiology of COVID-19, there's a lot to viruses and how they infect and what they do. The only thing that really makes this one different is the cytokine storm. Seems to be a little bit more aggressive than other viruses. So let's talk about what a cytokine storm is. Cytokines are cells within your body. They're part of your immune system and they serve a good purpose. They actually, whenever you have any type of infection or injury, cytokines are one of the first cells to be there and they cause an immune response to occur. However, if cytokines go unchecked, meaning they continue to be produced, they can cause an overreaction of the immune system. And in this particular case, where the pathology or the infection is in the lungs, the overreaction of the immune system includes the lungs filling up with fluid, which causes the respiratory distress and death in some people. So that is the big bad boy, the elephant in the room that nobody seems to be talking about. So I wanted to throw that out there to unveil or pull back the curtain and see what's behind the curtain. Because logically, if that's the big bad boy, and that's what people are dying from, is their own immune systems overreacting, we should be turning our attention to things that will decrease or block inflammatory cytokines. It just makes sense. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be occurring. This is basic medical physiology. This is not anything that's rocket science. It's pretty simple, and it just I'm beside myself trying to figure out why this is not necessarily being talked about, at least to the general public. I know it's being talked about, but this is what I feel because I'm a naturopathic physician. I work not only with natural things but also with drugs. But these are some of the big ones that can actually help decrease or block inflammatory cytokines. Now, there's nothing sexy about these substances, and there's not a whole lot of money to be made with these substances. And unfortunately, it's hard not to be cynical because these are not being talked about in abundance because these are simple things to do. Vitamin D is a huge one for blocking. It actually blocks inflammatory cytokines and it increases the body's ability for macrophage activity, which is how your body actually fights invading cells like viruses and bacteria and things. So vitamin D is probably the number one thing. And I do have another video on this. So please check that video out, and I go into great detail about vitamin D. And not all vitamin Ds, unfortunately, are created equal. And so I go into details about which ones are good. But if you do nothing else, just getting your vitamin D levels up to optimal is going to be very helpful when you get this virus. This virus is extremely contagious. We're all going to get it at some point, and most of us are going to breeze through it because we have our inflammatory cytokines in check. These are just things that are going to help you keep it in check. Now, vitamin C is one that there's been a lot of controversy around. I'm not sure what the media is hoping to gain by downplaying vitamin C. All of the headlines that I read about vitamin C that downplay it all talk about how it's not going to prevent you from getting this virus. Well, I don't think there's anything that can prevent you from getting this virus, but the vitamin C is going to help you sail through it a lot easier without the inflammatory cytokines causing major problems. So vitamin C is huge, and I've got a video on that as well. You can check that out and go into detail about dosing and everything like that. But just know that vitamin C is important with just about any immune response, but particularly because of its role in downplaying inflammatory cytokines and wrapping up macrophages as well. Melatonin is a big one. So this is a hormone that your body actually makes. It's one that we think about as far as sleep at night. But melatonin has been shown to have a huge regulatory effect on cytokines, and it keeps them in check. So just doing a dose of anywhere between 3 to 10 milligrams of melatonin at bedtime is going to be very helpful in keeping those inflammatory cytokines in check. Now, there's multiple herbs out there this is the tip of the iceberg. There's so many herbs that are good for downplaying and downregulating cytokines, and antiviral herbs that could be very helpful. These are just a few of the big ones. Elderberry has probably got the most research behind it with viruses in the past, like H1N1, the SARS virus. Elderberry has some strong research against those. Turmeric also. Yarrow is one of my favorites. I love yarrow. Not only is it helpful in downregulating cytokines, but it's also got some antiviral qualities to it, as does lomatium and garlic. Those are just, again, just to name a few. I'm sure you've probably got your favorites that you go to. But when you couple those with antiviral herbs, and like I said, a few of those are antiviral herbs already, but when you increase things like OSHA and the Oregon graperoot can be effective as well with viruses. I'm missing one in my brain that's just not coming to me. But anyway, those can be very effective as well. I do feel like the vitamin D, vitamin C, and melatonin are your key components of things you should take. The only one that I feel like you really should work with a doctor on is the vitamin D, because vitamin D is fat soluble. It can build up in the system and cause toxicity. I must say that I rarely see that. And when you're fighting a virus, mega doses are indicated. So when you do contract the virus, 10,000 to 20,000 IUs a day of a good quality vitamin D is key. I watch the other video on vitamin D, and it'll go into all the details there. But Suffice it to say, one of the biggest things that affects your immune system is faith over fear. So don't be fearful of the virus. Don't be fearful of your neighbor. That's one of the biggest downplays in this whole COVID-19 shutdown that I feel like has political bent to it. That I'm not going to go into politics of it right now, but is the fear that we have towards our fellow man. Please, please don't fear your neighbors. Have faith. Laugh a lot. In fact, many of you on Facebook have kept me and my wife laughing with all of the great memes that are out there. Be an optimist. We're going to get through this. We're going to not only get through it, we're going to thrive through it. And I truly believe that. This is where America does hard things and we come through. And we don't like being controlled because we like to understand what's really going on so that we can address it individually. And this is my attempt to get that understanding out there. Again, these are my understanding of the COVID-19 pathophysiology and what to do to remedy the really negative effects of that pathophysiology. My name is Dr. Joe Holcomb, and I am a naturopathic physician practicing in the state of Montana, also licensed in Utah. And if you want to order any of our antiviral herbs that have that mix that I talked about, as well as if you want to set an appointment, this is the phone number you can reach us at. But regardless, if you just do a few simple things, my feeling is we're going to sail right through this. You're going to be fine. Your family's going to be fine, and we're going to win. So that's all I really feel like I needed to say in this video. God bless, and be safe out there.